Hey everyone, Sir Owen Disney here, and we're going to talk Hollywood today, actually. We're going to be talking about a couple of things. First off, being two impromptu Q&As that John Murdy did on the @Horror Nights Twitter feed. And also, I'm going to be giving what I believe to be the second code name in Hollywood. But let's talk about the Q&A first. Now, a couple of questions were announced on both sessions, and there were a lot of very interesting topics, and I have a couple of things I want to discuss based upon those, and I'm going to give a little bit of my thoughts to what they might mean. Number one, the Mummy has been confirmed as a maze location, but it's not what you think. Does this mean it's not going to be in 3D? Rumor has it there may not be a 3D maze this year. Or will it be a different configuration of the building itself? Anything's possible. At this rate, I think that it should be rather interesting what ends up in the Mummy at this point. Number two, mazes are scripted from a guest point of view. So when you are seeing what you're seeing before your eyes, you're supposed to be seeing it like you would be seeing it if your eyes were the one seeing it. Yeah, I know that makes a lot of sense in my head. Probably it was like, seemed like kind of garbled noise to most people. No literal mazes are returning, which means, in my way of thinking, and the Carney way of thinking, which obviously everyone knows I can speak the Carney ways as well, when it comes down to it, an IP has to be 100% completely the same in order to be considered a full, flat-out, literal return. So if you tweak one room, or if you tweak one set piece, or if you tweak one scare, technically it's different. So that's a way around it. So for those of you that were thinking that we would probably not see any sort of Walking Dead attraction or The Purge this year based upon that statement, yeah, there's a guy that sometimes takes over my head sometimes, and usually when I'm talking about The Walking Dead, I think he might need to chat with you guys in a couple of months. But that's purely speculation. Murdy actually answered one of my questions, and I asked if magic was going to be coming to the event, and he says he hates magic as much as he hates mimes. So, yeah, it's interesting and basically negates any sort of magic or magic theme to any maze or attraction at Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood. Which is a shame, but I don't think that means anything for Orlando, but we'll talk about that in our speculation in another video. There's not going to be any comedy mazes in 2016, which is interesting because This Is the End in 3D kind of had like a lackluster response considering what it could have had. A lot of people really liked it, a lot of people really didn't. So I don't think there was much of a middle ground. You either really loved it, you really hated it. So I'm guessing there probably was a little bit of a middle ground, but not enough to consider a justification. So basically what I'm saying is, just like music mazes don't work in Orlando, perhaps comedy mazes don't work in Hollywood. I don't know, I guess we'll see throughout the next several years if comedy makes its return to Hollywood or not. Now, before House of Horrors closed, and there's a lot of rumors about something maybe being brought to that area in the very near future, there were some props that were taken out, and they could be potentially used down the line, so definitely guarantee the Universal Classic Monsters will be returning to a maze in one way or another in the next several years. I mean, it could happen this year, could be down the line, it's anyone's guess. Murdy's afraid to design one maze. Is he afraid because of the subject matter? Is he afraid because of a diehard fan base that would lynch him if they got something wrong? It could be anything at this point. And a lot of people are jumping out, and a lot of rumor mills are twittering about that The Exorcist may have finally been secured for this year's event. And if that is to be true, then this would definitely be a maze that Murdy would be a little scared to design. Not necessarily because of the subject matter, maybe a little bit, because obviously a lot of people that are more in the know than I am, given the fact that I'm an East Coaster, would tell you that this maze, if The Exorcist ever came to Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood, it would be based on all three films, not just the first one. So that iconic scene that You can take a little bit from a Jonah Hill scene that was in This Is the End last year. You would definitely be able to use that to the fullest of its capabilities, and we'd see a lot of the stuff from various Exorcist films, and not just the first one. Would he be afraid to tarnish the subject matter? That's a possibility as well. Or the fact that this could be one of the biggest mazes he's ever undertook in his entire life, and it would be a major challenge. But it's funny because a major challenge, I'm pretty sure there's another code name that is being talked about right now that could be a major challenge. Yeah, maybe The Exorcist is coming. And if it does, I know a lot of people are thinking it's going to be Hollywood only. I don't see a way that this is not a share. But then again, I've been wrong before. Everyone thought that there was going to be a share. And Freddy vs. Jason did not come to Hollywood last year. You just gotta wait a couple more months and you'll get Freddy vs. Jason, don't worry. That's just, again, purely speculation. So, everything this year is based on an IP or IP, so that means that there is no originals this year. But there's something that's kind of close to an original, but I'll get to that momentarily. The JP maze has already been decided, and Murdy says it's gonna kill. Now, the first thing when I think kill and the perspective coming to the event, I think, yeah, there's a possibility that it'd be Freddy vs. Jason that would go to Jurassic Park. It'd be rather interesting if that ends up happening. But strangely enough, that is an idea I do have, but another one I have is this could be the home of the final in the Alice Cooper trilogy that I think is going to be the Wonderland house, even though I don't believe any longer it's going to be a 3D maze. Because he basically flat out said there's not going to be 3D in Hollywood this year. Will there be 3D in Orlando this year? I believe there will be a 3D maze in Orlando this year, and I think that people better obey what they are told. Again, purely speculation. So, Rob Zombie, will he return to the event? Well, apparently, Murdy has not spoken to Rob Zombie in several years, but last year, Zombie and his manager met with Murdy. Take that as you will. What's the number after 30? Oh yeah, 31. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? It's possible. And because I still think, and I still believe to this day, that House of a Thousand Corpses is coming to Orlando, whether it's next year, this year, or years down the line. I do believe we see Rob Zombie in Orlando, even though I said a while back I didn't think that ever happened. But minds change, and so do properties. So, Murdy was asked about Five Nights at Freddy's, and apparently he has met with the creators of the project. Take that as you will. Would be a good way to utilize the puppetry, and I know it's something that people have asked for on the various message boards. Would it work? Maybe, potentially. I could see it potentially working. Would it bring a different face to the event itself? I think that's definitely a possibility, but will it ever happen? Never say never at this point. And he did throw out one more clue to Wisconsin, which I've already decrypted as The Conjuring, at least in my mind. And I know a lot of people think it's Freddy vs. Jason. I think it's The Conjuring. And it ties into a city in Wisconsin, i.e. Salem. So yeah, that does tie into The Conjuring. So furthermore, alluding to the fact that I believe that Wisconsin is The Conjuring, but we'll see what happens down the line. But I speak about an original maze this year, and that original maze that I'm talking about, the closest thing we're going to get this year is the codename Doris Day. Now, it's got a long intro when you enter the maze. Like, right before you enter the maze, there's going to be a long intro, and there's going to be a narrator, in my guess, that's going to be setting up the events that you're about to see unfold right before your eyes. And even some original filming. I think that could possibly happen as well. Maybe some stuff that's done for the promo video, when they get the announcement official, and also for the queue line. Maybe something to get you ready for what you're about to experience. So I think that's kind of interesting. And that brings us to Doris Day. And there were several clues that were given out, once again, on the Horror Nights Twitter feed, and they are as followed. As part of the prep for Maze number 2, he's been listening to a lot of old pop songs from the 50s and 60s. They all have the same word in the title. There's a whole lot of really popular songs from the 50s and 60s that are kind of associated with a particular holiday. Maybe. But ironically enough, none of these songs are actually directly associated with this property. But they should be. Starting to wonder. Aside from listening to these 50s and 60s pop songs, the development process for Maze Number 2, including writing a monologue. Yes, for the main character. Now, there was an opening monologue that was written for the maze. It's all original, but the maze is based on an intellectual property. This is very much our take on it. It sounds to me like something might have been created by an original creator. You never know. It's possible. Now, Maze Number 2 exists in Post-it note form. In the wall of his office, that's pretty much how he does things. The facade took 10 pages to describe. You know, a house all decked out in various lights and decorations, I think it'd probably take a little bit to describe the intricacies of everything. Now, he's deep into writing the maze treatment at this time. It feels more and more like an original, even though it's not. Once again, I think it may be based off an IP, but it's more original, even though it's not an original, if that makes any sense. He says about halfway through the treatment, an opening line of dialogue, or the voiceover for the maze, is a strange secret ode to the Smiths. Alright, so let me cue you in on a little thing. Let me clue you in a little bit. So, Morrissey allowed a John Lewis department store ad to use the cover of the song Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want. It's a B-side off the Smiths' William It Was Really Nothing that was released in 1984. Got a 90-page treatment. The monologue, I'm guessing, is going to be the narrator themselves. If I had to guess, I'm thinking it is a very elderly lady who is a lot wiser beyond her years. And he said, oh, wait a minute, you need a code name. Doris Day. Yeah, that's it, Doris Day. So, the code name has to do with an album, a movie, or a song title by Doris Day. But he's not going to tell us which one. Now, the song that I jumped on was Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. It was originally recorded by Judy Garland in 1944 for the musical Meet Me in St. Louis. And she originally found the originals so depressing that she even changed some of the lyrics before the film itself came out. Now, in 1964, Doris Day released a Christmas album called the Doris Day Christmas Album. Her version of the song was on that album. And strangely enough, there was another version of the song, a cover from an indie rock band called Brand New that was on a scene in a mildly popular movie from last year. Now, this is really interesting because on March 2nd, during an impromptu Q&A, the one I was referring to earlier, there was a question that I asked personally, which was, are there any additional clues to Doris Day? And Murdy's response was, like I said, it's the most original of the bunch, but it's based on a property. The maze features a fairly long intro that will set up the story at the facade before you go inside, with original filming, like I alluded to earlier. The maze has a small revolving set piece that can alter a scene. It's not huge, but it's a cool idea that is going to be added to the maze. Now, there is a scene in the IP that I'm thinking about, and that is a stop-motion animation scene that takes you to a flashback to show you the origins of a particular creature. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking this might happen, and then bam, snap back into the next room, and we're in present day, and we're running for our lives, afraid of everything around every corner, or in every box. Yeah, what am I thinking? Well, I think it pretty much is laid out on the table that Doris Day, I believe to be, as of 3:32 p.m. this Saturday afternoon, because I'm here on the West Coast, is not necessarily Krampus, but I think that Michael Dougherty pretty much is going to help John Murdy create Dark Christmas as a maze. Now, it's going to have the Krampus brand. It's going to have Michael Dougherty's name on it, and I believe that to be true. Michael Dougherty's Dark Christmas featuring Krampus. Now, one form or another, this is Krampus. At least I believe that it's Krampus, and I think everything lines up to be the truth. The fact that Doris Day is obviously connected with Christmas, but I took the line of a brand new song from the band Brand New in order to connect it, and I think that's a Murdy way to get to the product that he wants us to guess. Now, I've broken code names before. I don't know if it'll happen again this year, but this is my shot at it. This is my crack at it, and that's what I'm thinking, that right now Doris Day is Dark Christmas featuring Krampus, presented by Michael Dougherty. That's what I think is going to happen. I do. And do I think Orlando's getting this? I do. Again, I think it's the same kind of concept, but if it does go in just the literal Krampus IP connection and not to the urban legend of Krampus or an original based on Krampus, which is another thing I thought of, the version of the Dark Christmas scare zone that has been utilized in Hollywood for the last 2 years would be our lead-in to our maze in Orlando. And I believe that could possibly happen in Hollywood as well. Maybe Dark Christmas maze from the Dark Christmas scare zone. That is going to possibly be it. Now, I know Dark Christmas was heavily rumored for last year's event on both coasts, and it didn't end up happening. But with the movie coming out and it doing pretty good success, honestly, it was very heavy on puppetry, which is another thing I know both coasts are really starting to enjoy using, so it's something I can see happening. And there's a lot of really creepy creatures, and here that chain being dragged behind you, it's just going to be really evil and menacing. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it fits a soundstage in Orlando and Hollywood. Maybe the backlot, kind of like where Crimson Peak was last year. But that's just a guess. I don't know anything about locations. Don't forget, I'm an Orlando guy. I'm starting to learn a little bit more about Hollywood's backstory, and I am trying to cover it as best as I can here on the Popcast Network. So that's what I believe right now. There are 5 mazes that are being talked about right now. The third one is still to be discussed. The fourth one still to be discussed, and the fifth one just started. So who knows how many mazes Hollywood's getting this year. I again said potentially 6 in a Terror Tram, might be 7 in a Terror Tram now. I still think The Purge is returning. I still think you guys are going to get Fear of the Walking Dead. And I think The Conjuring, Alice Cooper, these are definite things. Freddy vs. Jason, I think, is a definite thing. And there are a couple of other things that may end up happening. We might end up sharing on both coasts. There's a lot of rumors about Ash vs. Evil Dead. Maybe I could see that maybe happening. It's anyone's guess at this point what is actually going to come to both events this year. There's actually a lot of rumors, but the rumors on Orlando's side are from surveys and a lot of wish lists that people have wanted. And right now, we don't know if any of them are grounded in fact. And on Hollywood's case, we got a lot of wishful thinking, but we don't know if anything's going to happen. Don't forget, there's a big rumor right now Hollywood's getting The Exorcist this year. So I really hope that does happen. It's not just Hollywood only, because that would suck, because I can't go to Hollywood this year. So that's what I've got for Doris Day. I think it's Krampus, or in this case, Dark Christmas featuring Krampus, presented by Michael Dougherty. So, yeah, his name is really fun to try to pronounce, and if I get it wrong, my apologies. Like I said, I'm new to the guy, so we'll see what happens. I think he's going to be a big deal in the next couple years, if you know what I mean. Trick or Treat probably coming in 2017, 2018, something like that. But that's just my guess at this point. So, as always, in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at SoroandDisney. You can follow my channel, which is the Popcast Network, here on this channel, and you can follow our various other podcasters. First off, you can follow Popcast Network on Twitter at Popcast Network, and you also can follow the other members of the Popcast Network. Their YouTubes and Twitter names are right below, which would be Tyler and Andrew from Homemade Haunt, Cameron from Cryptic Cam, Ian Theme Park Browser, Travis Coaster, Mr. Entertainment, First Class Horror, and the Click Forever One. There's a lot of great people in the Popcast Network. We're all really knowledgeable about Halloween Horror Nights, and we all provide bang-up content. You can also check out some great Halloween Horror Nights related message boards at Horror Night Nightmares and for Hollywood USH Forums, as well as that's ushforums.com and horrornightnightmares.com. Great Halloween Horror Nights related content at homemadehaunt.net, firstclasshorror.com, hhncrypt.com, hhnlegacy.com, hhnyearbook.com, hhnunofficial.com, socalhorror.com, and my good friends Matt and Quint from neozaz.com with the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights, as well as some other awesome YouTubers and Halloween Horror Nights updaters. Links in the description bar. The Horror Night updaters, my friend John Psycho Massacre Films, my friend Vic Dr. Brown 1, my friend Neil UKHHN, my friend David the Crazy Englishman, my friend Aaron the Red Steel TV, HHN Fan 16, my friend Tristan, my friend James, HHN Updated 1, Jeremy from Jeremy Films with 2 Z's, HHN Legacy, Mr. HHN from the Thrill Seeker Network, HHN Fandom, HHN Fanboy, Alex Show Official, as well as Blake. His channel is at the bottom here. It's one of those ones that don't have like an actual like name to it. It's got like the letter thing. So link in the description bar. Obviously, Dr. Jimmy, DocuMo, the Tim Tracker, my good friends Tim and Jen, Kyle from View from the Cheap Seats, Disco Lazita, Liz, the Man in the Molly Vest, Mark, as well as Zkeeper83, my good friend Zombie Chris, as well as a bunch of other really awesome people. So check those out if you haven't yet. You can find out more content about Orlando and about Hollywood. So in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.